and in most cases, only get worse, creating mold and health issues within your home. What are you waiting for? Call Midwest Basement Tech for a free estimate on your home's foundation problems and take advantage of winter discount pricing until March 1st, 2021. To schedule your home's inspection.
It's happening here in the world.
That was just the kickoff to a 4-year-long effort of false allegations about Russia.
The country.
At some point, you have to get to ground truth here. And yes, people have a lot of doubt, a lot of concerns about not only the media, but elected officials.
And the community.
Key folks are filing legislation to deal with education reform.
St. Louis's own 97.1 FM Talk. Breaking news.
You are listening to 97.1 FM Talk, continued coverage of quite a day in our nation's history. We've all seen the images, and we are all processing it. I guess maybe at 10 p.m. here in St. Louis, after we've spent some hours detached from what took place this afternoon and evening, it's probably a little bit easier to process. Maybe it's become more complicated to process. Thank you for being here. My name is Annie Frey. I host the Annie Frey Show from noon to 3 each weekday here on 97.1 FM Talk. We also stream live at radio.com, a great app you can have on your phone. You can stream the station anywhere you go at any time and take us with you. You can also rewind in case Carl Middleman, who's producing the show, says something absolutely brilliant.
I already did that once this year.
Check. Right. Cross it off the list. It was a New Year's resolution. It's January 6th, and you've taken care of that. We're here until 11 p.m. with special coverage. We are paying attention to what is taking place on the House and the Senate floor at this time. And the votes have continued to object or certify the electors that have come from each state. And I have to say that the events of today have changed some minds on Capitol Hill. Some individuals who intended to initially object to the electors that were slated have decided to change their mind. I'm very curious over the span of the last, I guess, 12 hours or so, how many Americans have taken in the events of today and have potentially changed their mind about what is going on, our political system, our political parties. I've seen people tweeting, I think I'm going to now register as an independent. I think it's time for multiple parties. Sarah Palin was on with, I believe, Martha McCallum earlier. And she was saying, she's somebody who's been in the system. Of course, if you know anything about the Sarah Palin venture into being the VP candidate for the late John McCain, you know that it was a tough road for her down to become that part of the ticket. And she was talking about the brokenness of our two-party system and how once you get behind the curtain and you see how the deals are being done, it becomes a pretty unattractive situation that probably doesn't have the American people at the center of it most of the time. Sounds like the swamp to me, if you ask me. Carl, how long have you been manning the ship over here on the board this evening?
I got here at 6:00, but I was listening to DGS since about 4:30.
So we were doing our normal show at noon, and at noon is when Mike Pence was supposed to gavel down, and we were like, all right, they did, what was it? Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, objections, a 2-hour recess, and then chaos breaks loose. So if you didn't take in the events of today, if you've been at work or maybe you were sleeping and maybe you work a night shift and you missed the events of today, it started with a Stop the Steal march, a rally that President Trump attended, I think he spoke for over an hour. He spoke for a very long time. Aired his list of grievances about the election, which if you've listened to any of his rallies, You've heard the list. You understand his concerns. You probably share a good portion of his concerns about the validity of this election. But it was a very pointed speech, and he was naming names in this speech. And when you look at the images of the numbers of people who were at this rally, it's a sea of people going on and on and on as far as the eye could see. Thousands of people attending this rally. And I don't know, was it about 1 o'clock when it started to go kind of nuts?
1:15-ish.
1:15. Okay. I'm trying to think of where I was in the show and what was going down.
But no one knew what was going on originally. It was slow to manifest.
I was thinking back throughout the course of this evening on the events, because I spoke with Dr. Tobler, who was very kind and sat in the chair here and provided live coverage for you on 97.1 FM Talk starting at 7 p.m. and handed it off to me here at 10. And I jumped in with him earlier at 8. I don't know. It was before I ate my evening ice cream treat that I allowed myself. My son got an A on a math test.
Yay!
And then he comes home, he shows me his test, and he's like, this means ice cream, right? And then I'm like going through the Rolodex of things that I've probably bribed my kids with. And I said, you check your work and get an A on a test, you get ice cream. That means I get ice cream, right? So right around 8 o'clock, I'm on the phone with Dr. Tobler, and he asks me this question about, what's it like to be a mom in this situation, have young kids and to be experiencing what everybody in this country, and let's be honest, around the world, watched what took place at the Capitol today. This is probably the leading news story anywhere that news is covered at this point in time. Tomorrow, that'll be the headline. And thinking about it, when I'm doing a radio show in the afternoon and this is happening live, I have to be in the moment. I'm here as a radio show host. I'm here to guide you through what I'm seeing and give you the information that you need to know to understand what's going on in our nation's capital. But there's a different thing when you're home and you're sitting in your chair. Everybody has a chair, right? Carl, do you have a chair?
I was on the couch.
You're on the couch. But do you have, does Carl have a spot in your living room, like in proximity, like the best viewing spot of the television?
Yeah, that's the couch. My wife is in her chair and my daughter's.
You get the whole couch.
Yeah, I have the whole couch. My wife has her chair, the recliner. My daughter has the Chase Lounge. I have the whole couch.
Nice. Okay. Well, I don't get a whole couch. I just get a chair. So.
Well, then there are more of you than there are. I have half the people in my house that you do.
Well, let me just make the kids sit on the floor anyway. Let's be real. So I'm sitting there. My kids come home from school, and they had heard something was going on. They probably had 97.1 on in the car on the way home from school, and they came and sat down. And there is something that is just heart-wrenching about watching your children watch what's going on in the world. I can see what's going on in the world. I can process it. Even something as insane as what took place today, I can come up with reasons. I can come up with like legitimate, logical reasons that got us to this point. And I'm thinking, like, all you have to do tonight, folks, and I'm grateful that you're here. If you've been doing this, let's try to do some group therapy here together to get away from it. But if you flip through the news channels tonight, pick your favorite news channel, pick your least favorite news channel, watch both of them for 5 minutes, and you'll know everything that the Republicans have been doing wrong and why they're terrible people for the last 4 years. And you'll know everything that the Democrats have been doing wrong and why they're terrible people for the last 4 years. It's all what about? Oh, yeah, you think we're bad. Well, what about the time that Nancy Pelosi ripped up the State of the Union on camera behind the President of the United States? Like, if we want to talk about dignity and respect and integrity, I mean, there's none to be found anywhere. That's really the situation that gets us to this point today, where once again, we have thousands and thousands of people who have assembled who feel as though they have a message that they want somebody to listen to. They need to be heard. I'm going to say it, and you can agree with me, you cannot agree with me. The BLM protests that we saw last year, those are people who want to be heard. You might not agree with their message, I've never had a problem saying Black Lives Matter, because they do. And I don't need to preface it with anything else that matters, because Black lives don't matter only if ... you fill in the blank here. Of course they do. The second something like that gets cherry picked and put into a political agenda where they get to take you hostage with a coined phrase like Black Lives Matter and put a just a character assassination on you if you don't agree with that sentence because of all the politics that come behind it, then you take the meaning out of those words and you swap it with a political agenda that you have that maybe doesn't jive with something that somebody else has. Maybe you're married to a police officer. Maybe you are law enforcement and you see things differently, but that doesn't mean you have to value anybody else's life any differently. The people who are out on the streets in those protests have a message that wants to be heard, but you get into a situation like that and it starts to go bad. It takes a turn. It gets angry when nobody wants to listen to one another or when all we do is shout at one another. Nobody in this country right now wants to hear what somebody else has to say. And if anybody is willing to sit down and listen, the goal is always to change everybody else's mind. Two people can't sit down and have differing opinions about something as strong and personal and emotional as an issue that took place in the wake of the George Floyd protests. I don't know what it's like to raise a child in this country and see treatment being different for one person than the next. I don't know what that's like, so I'm willing to listen to somebody else's experience who does feel that way. In the end of that doesn't mean that they're going to change my opinion about law enforcement per se. I still absolutely support law enforcement. But I'd love to have that conversation. When you look at the thousands and the thousands and the thousands of people who are in our nation's capital today who don't feel as though this election was handled out with integrity, those people are not being heard. In fact, they're being shouted down in many cases by people in the media who are saying, you lost, deal with it. You're saying that, those people in the media are saying that to the exact individuals who have been hearing from the media that Donald Trump is #NotMyPresident for the last 4 years, and a manufactured Russian hoax and an eventual impeachment over a phone call with the Ukrainian president that did in fact involve impropriety by one Hunter Biden. They wouldn't talk about it. We're not listening to each other. We don't care about each other. We actually hate each other, and we love our political parties. That's the bottom line. And it's a sad state of affairs, and that's what hits me when my kids come in and sit on the couch and see people scaling the Capitol, breaking in buildings, hearing that the person who was in the Capitol who got shot is now dead. And they look at me and they say, Mom, why? What's going on here? Why is all this happening? How do I explain that to my kids? How do I have that conversation with an 11-year-old who's old enough to understand enough of what's going on that I can't just pat him on the head and give him the ice cream for his A on his math test? He's got questions, and they're valid questions. How do I explain to my 4-year-old what's going on in our country if she can not even decipher between the news that she's watching on TV and a Sunday night, drama show, police investigative show that might be on any other time? When you think about these things, if you're not around small children, think about how we explain this to our children, to the next generation. Think about how they are going to grow up in a world where we can't speak to one another. How am I supposed to teach my kids in this type of climate to go through, the rigors. Let's be honest. What's worse than middle school? My heavens. Middle school is where you judge one another, is where you are mean to each other. I mean, I don't know, boys. I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys are just like coasting through middle school without a care in the world. Girls are like, middle school girls are mini terrorists in the making. Let's just be honest. I was one. I have been the mean girl, and I have really been mean girled. I've been on both sides of that coin, and both are extremely regrettable. How do you teach your child who's coming in that age how to treat one another, how to talk to one another, how to listen to one another? How do you explain to them how they're supposed to behave in that? And then they come in and sit down on their couch and they see that all of these grown-ups, they can't talk to each other. They don't want to listen to each other. They make snap judgments on one another because, listen, I know everything I need to know about them, and I can tell from who this person is because of something they're affiliated with. It's like a middle school girl wearing the wrong shoes to school, the uncool shoes. Nobody wants to listen. And when you take into account all of the people who are out there right now talking on this subject, I haven't heard anybody who's talked on this subject who hasn't gone straight into a laundry list of all of the deeds that have gotten us here. And depending on who you're listening to, if there's a pundit on the right, here's everything the left's done. If you're a pundit on the left, here's everything the right's done. We know the stories. We know how we got here. It's to the point where we're just standing pointing at each other. We're not getting anything done. We won't get anything done. I'll be extremely interested to find out, once we get to the point where we know who these instigators were. I was having this conversation with my husband. Let's just, for the sake of conversation, because we don't know who the main instigators were on the front lines of the Capitol building breach. Let's say the people on the front lines were all Antifa. We don't know that. I assume that we will find out, but we don't know that. If Antifa breaches that gap and Trump supporters follow, that's still their responsibility. We have to get back to personal responsibility. And any type of momentum or consolidation of message or problem that conservatives and Republicans legitimately have about this election, it's all on the back burner now. And it's going to be very, very, very difficult in an instance where the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs of the world, the people who have been praying for Donald Trump's demise, with a Biden presidency and a Kamala Harris Senate and a Nancy Pelosi House of Representatives, our message as Republicans and conservatives as to who we really are and what we really stand for, it's going to get lost. And you're not going to be able to look at anybody in Washington, D.C., nobody in a fancy suit, on a camera, on a cable news network is going to save it. You're going to be the only thing that saves conservatism in your community. There are so many of us, 75 million of us, 75 million people in this country who believe in smaller government, who believe in the American people over the American government. We are plentiful. We are almost equally as many as people on the other side. And I don't discredit how many people probably are more moderate to conservative leaning who just detest Donald Trump. There are many of us, and we need to be our own ambassadors for what we stand for. We need to be willing to fill that gap, because the messaging out there is going to be very difficult to combat on a large scale. But it's necessary to do so because we do stand for something valuable. We do stand for something that has made this country great. To this point in time, so much of what the Conservative Party stands for is what this country is right now. And the peaceful protests that exist, that's First Amendment stuff. Numero uno, whether it's a peaceful protest for a concern about an election, or it's a peaceful protest because people believe there's racial inequality. We have to stand for both of those things because they have the right to do it. We are not ever given the right to agree, to make people agree with us. We're never, ever going to have a situation in this country where we're all one unison party, where we all have come together and finally reached to that point. You know, it kills me when I hear politicians say, well, what do we need to do to fix America? You can fix America, but half of this country is still going to think you broke it while you tried to fix it. That's the way it goes because we're free. Somebody died today. Her name was Ashley. She served her country. Make sure you remember her name. And make sure that you understand. Tucker was saying this and it broke my heart. Can you imagine having to call her mother and tell her she lost her life like this? In that moment, I think that there are things that are more important and we need to get our priorities straight. It doesn't mean you have to give up the values that you have. Let's take a quick break. More with Annie Frey here on the 97 FM Talk special coverage of today's events.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax resolution attorney to help you. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, that's remarkable. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose weight, stop smoking, or in anxiety for only $49.99 guaranteed or your money back. Because of coronavirus, seminar now online, live Saturday, January 16th, the St. Louis area. Details at markpatrickseminars.com. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. The new year is here. Let's get it kicked off right with a cash out refinance. Pay off all your high interest rate credit cards. Stick some cash in the bank. Make home improvement projects a reality. Best part, mortgage interest rates are still at these all-time low levels, and we are locking loans in the twos. Apply online now with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Every day, Ameren, Illinois works to deliver reliable energy throughout the state to on-the-go families, new parents, in-the-know grandparents, busy students, night owls, weekend warriors, and more. But did you know we also have options to help manage and track your energy, like paperless billing, outage notifications, pick a due date, and so much more. So no matter who you are or how you use your energy, there's an option that's right for you. Learn more at amerenillinois.com/options.
Do you promise to love, honor, and cherish, forsaking all others?
I do.
I do.
And now, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you roommates. Go forth.
That's not the vow you took. But if struggles with CPAP have you and your spouse sleeping in separate rooms, it might be time to look into Inspire. Inspire works inside the body with just the click of a remote. That's right, just a button. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation.
Talk to your doctor to see if Inspire is right for you. Review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
Chaos at the Capitol.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has asked for the National Guard.
The elector count temporarily shut down, and lawmakers evacuated.
And we're not sure who it is holding these guns inside of the House chamber, pointing them facing the windows.
Coverage continuing.
And it appears, since there are so many people outside of the Capitol, that maybe U.S. Capitol Police are stopping any more from coming in.
This is a Fox News alert.
May God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
Vice President Pence says Congress resumes certifying the Electoral College vote. Where hours earlier, hundreds of Trump supporters violently stormed the chambers, declaring President Trump had won the election. Guns were drawn, and in the mayhem, Air Force veteran and Trump supporter Ashley Babbitt of California was shot and killed. D.C. police just releasing that 3 other people also died in what they call medical emergencies. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says, like the day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, America will never forget this.
Of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy.
I'm Carmen Roberts, and this is the Fox News Alert.
This hour is made possible by Gloria Liu with GL International Realty, part of Coldwell Banker Premier Group on 97.1 FM Talk.
Work with an agent you can trust. It will help you sell for the most money possible, especially in this hot market. Hey, Mark Cox here, letting you know that's why I trust and recommend Gloria Liu with GL International Realty, part of Coldwell Banker Premier Group. You've heard it before. Gloria has the buyers. What that means to you as a home seller is Gloria may already have your home's buyer. Gloria has thousands of ready-to-go buyers, which creates higher demand and many times multiple offers. Time after time, Gloria sells homes at record speed with full price offers. That helps you achieve your goals, whether it's moving out of state or into that dream home Gloria found you across town. Here's the best part. Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or she'll buy it. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
I'm listening daily. You are not alone. During these challenging times, listening is fundamental to promoting understanding and healing. Here's licensed therapist Dr. Daniel Amen on the importance of mental hygiene.
Mental hygiene is just as important as washing your hands. We need to disinfect our thoughts and be more disciplined than ever about brain health. My routine starts with sleep. Really making sleep a priority. And then when I wake up in the morning, I say to myself every day, today is going to be a great day, because then my mind will find why it's going to be a great day. And that one little 3-second exercise can dramatically change the health of your brain, which then improves the health of your mind.
Talk has the power to save lives, and you are not alone. Find out more at imlistening.org.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
I very honestly believe
that the future of the republic is at stake here, it's got to be looked at as momentum to stop whatever caused this disaster in American politics.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
Breaking news.
Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk. No, you are not hallucinating.
It's
It is
noon.
10:35 p.m. And this is Annie Frey. I'm filling in for an hour here to continue breaking news coverage as it continues to happen. It is still January 6th, and we have had quite a day in our nation's capital, and we're grateful that you are listening to us here on 97.1 FM Talk. A reminder that you can stream the radio station at radio.com. You can download that app on your phone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. So you can download it, just search 97.1 FM Talk and click the little heart there, and 97.1 will be in your pocket anywhere you go. You can also find the Annie Frey Show podcast there as well. It's been a wild day. Watching these events unfold and trying to decipher what's going on. These are some of the hard days. I was speaking with my husband about this as we were kind of processing it after our kids went to bed. And, it's one of those things that you need. This is what Carl, I think is what you and I were talking about. 24, 48 hours. I give myself a 24 or 48 hour window to be emotional about this, to really feel with your heart, to be hurt, to be sad, to be angry, to be motivated, depending on whatever the emotion that it evokes. You need to have time to feel on these things, but you also need to get to the point where you start to use your head again. Some people are very privileged to be able to use both at the same time. I'm probably less so when I'm pregnant. I just have to say the emotions might take over a little bit. There were a couple of times. One of them was when Tucker Carlson was doing a show tonight, and he was talking about how Ashley, this woman who has served her country and was shot inside the Capitol building today, she lost her life. And when you think about the people who lost her today, and you think about it in the context of, somebody who, like, she's a 14-year veteran. She's somebody who signed up to give her life to this country. And maybe today that's what she did. I can't judge her, what she was doing when she was there. Don't have enough information. Don't really understand the what constituted the actual shooting in the first place, because I don't believe, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, if I don't know that there were shots fired that were exchanged. So
I have not heard anything. I do know that there were 52 arrests and 26 on Capitol grounds.
And if you consider what we've seen today, you would think that there will be more than 56 arrests, that more would be coming. And I do have difficulty, having covered riots here in St. Louis in 2014, was it? And in the wake of the Michael Brown death, watching that, I was in downtown at the intersection of Market and Tucker when the police officer verdict was released, and he was not guilty or not charged. It's intense. It's crazy. People are out there and they're just charged with emotion. Our country is on the edge right now with emotion. When you get into a situation like what took place today, the emotion is incredibly high. I see so many people commenting right now, and I'm grateful for all of you who are here chatting with us at facebook.com/Annie Frey Show. We're live on the Annie Frey Show Facebook page. Make sure you like the page if you haven't, or the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We do a live broadcast on each of those each day from noon to 3. And I'm just really, I'm enjoying getting all of the different perspectives from all of these different individual people, and how you've consumed the day and how it's hit you. And, there is a general air of sadness. And the sadness comes from a lot of places. It's not just a sadness because you've observed what happened. And of course, the images of what you saw today were a bit startling. It's a sad thing to think about what brought all of those people to that rally today. People who don't have confidence in the integrity of the elections. And I've been consistent with this on my show, and I understand it's 10:40 p.m. on a Wednesday night. You might not be familiar with my show from noon to 3. Join us anytime. I'd love to have you.
Hi.
Yeah, say hello. But I feel very strongly that the concern that Americans should have is the success that the state legislatures had changing the rules leading up to the election that caused the situation that we then found ourselves in on election day. It's a massive amount of voting rules that were changed, and many of them under the guise of a pandemic. I think it's very obvious, at least it is to me, that any American Republican worth their weight in salt wants everybody to have a vote. They just want to make sure that every vote has somebody who is qualified to vote. And when you listen to the way that some of these rules were modified leading into this election, and some of the bragging that has taken place in the course of this, it seems as though there are people who do not trust the system and potentially won't ever trust it again. That's where I get scared. That's where I get concerned. Looks right now, if I'm seeing this correctly, Rodney Davis is up at the podium in front of Mike Pence, watching as the coverage is taking place. Are you able to pull up the Senate floor right now, Carl?
I'm trying to pull that up right now as that's why I was looking down. I am trying to do that right now.
Arkansas seems to be
You got him.
Seems to be regular, informed, and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 6 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 6 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Arkansas?
So Congressman Rodney Davis there, which is funny because I was chatting with his people tonight. Rodney Davis is my representative. It's nice to see him there. He's presenting the electoral votes from Florida. They were going to consider having him come on. They weren't sure when he was going to have to speak. And then they said, no, he won't be able to. Well, that's because he had business to attend to.
Why is the Illinois doing Florida? And Roy Blunt did like Arkansas.
Well, you remember when you were in like first grade and there was going to be like assignments and there'd be like a drawing and you'd put your hand and you pull out a piece of paper and you'd get to find out what you're going to get to do, or like a report of some kind, and you're going to have to report on. Maybe I remember in fourth grade we did Native American tribes and we had to learn about Native American tribes. I had the Sioux.
Oh,
I put together the coolest little diorama.
My wife's family, Sioux.
Really?
Yes.
That's fascinating. Maybe he drew Florida.
He drew Florida, and maybe Senator Blunt was first. He might have done Alabama.
Yeah.
But it was weird. It's weird because you'd think you'd have the senator from that state.
I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, these are the type of things. Like, this is what I anticipated doing. Here's Roy Blunt. I wonder if they're going to go to Roy. No, they're just doing coverage right now.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the day.
The Roy Blunt cover. I don't know. I think he's doing something right now.
Right now they're in Colorado.
Yeah, well, I just, Carl, what's you've been taking in different forms of media throughout the day. You've been covering this all night here on 97.1. And you are one of the most cool as a cucumber people that I know.
Thank you.
Have you ever been rattled? Have you?
Yes.
Do you ever get mad?
Yes, I do.
Do you act mad when you're mad? Are you mad at me right now and I just can't tell?
No. I it's more of a frustration than an anger.
how is this country going to? It's the question that we keep asking ourselves and have been asking for so long. I mean, can we get more divided? I don't know that we can, but I think I've said that out loud before, and I think we're more divided now. How do we get to the point where, I listened to Kevin McCarthy's speech, I believe it was, at the beginning of this, and he was listing off all the ways that we need to respect each other across the aisle and we need to listen to each other. And I'm like, yeah, you do. And what's tomorrow going to bring? I mean, I'm not naive. I don't think you are either. But Carl, is there a pathway to a change for this, or what happens?
Here's the problem. Most people care about politics when it concerns them. Like the trope, most politics is local.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who won the election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden, it doesn't really affect the normal person. I mean, you can feel about it one way or the other, but you're still going to have to go to work. You're still going to have to take your kids to school. It until it bothers your life directly, I don't think most people, they say they care, but do they really?
Do you think that? I think Americans are rattled today.
Well, yes, also, and the people that listen to 97.1, they are very involved in it, but most people, they're not. And I love the patriots that listen to this radio station, and I love their passion, which is why they listen to this radio station, because we can get along with people that think and are passionate about politics like we are. But we know Democrats, and they sometimes don't listen to this radio station.
Mm-hmm. Some of them do.
You know what? And they do. And I appreciate when they do.
I'm super grateful for the opportunities that we have with people who do participate at 97.1. And we have a lot of them. And, specifically for my show, noon to 3 here on weekdays on 97.1, I was explaining this today because I do think it's important for people to understand where I'm coming from. My goal for myself, my expectation for myself on my show is to be uniquely me. I've never been handed a list of things that I need to talk about. I've never been handed a list of things that I'm not allowed to talk about. Some days that would be really nice. It would save me a lot of time.
But you know better sometimes.
Yeah, well, maybe.
We have a boss.
Maybe I haven't crossed. Well, I know, but I think it's important that people understand that I'm not pre-programmed. This is, when I'm doing my show, when we're doing our show, we are uniquely ourselves, to our benefit and also sometimes to our detriment. And my goal, which I'm not always successful at, and I do get messages from people. I was discussing with a listener tonight, someone who said, I can never listen to you again, Annie. And they felt as though, because of a conversation that was around a hit that I did at one other time, that maybe I was dismissing the concerns, or that not that I was doing it necessarily, but the concerns of Trump supporters who feel as though this election wasn't fair, that I was dismissing them, or that the station was dismissing them. And I want to have those conversations with people, because there are often times where if I'm on here, I mean, it's 10:48 p.m. This is not my prime time.
You should be in bed.
I should be. Why am I not in bed, Steve? When I was talking to Randy Tobler earlier, he said I was going to be on at 11, and I'm like, did Steve say to Randy, you say she'll be on 11, and then she'll have to do it?
Hey, you'll know how quickly I corrected him, because
yeah, I did. I appreciate it.
When you're finished, I'm finished as well.
Oh, I see. There's a personal interest there.
Yes.
I want people to hear me, where I'm coming from, what my perspective is. And I want people to call in and disagree, or be able to have conversations in our Facebook live chat, or the Annie Frey YouTube channel chat, and be able to talk about issues without attacking each other. And if and when I fail at that, and I try very hard not to fail at that, if I get called out, I care about that, because there are oftentimes, I don't know about oftentimes, but enough times where if I say something, I might have a complete and total intention that doesn't get translated well, because I step all over it with my words or something. But communication, like hoping for the best from one another. I mean, Carl, I don't know if you talk politics much with your family, but it's
sometime.
Is it? I mean, I'm inundated with it in my life because people know what I do for a living. So I'm kind of a safe space for people who either know me well enough to understand that we can talk about our differences, or who want to know what I think about some particular issue or concern.
That's a fair point.
And I think that we need to instill more relationships in our life where we can talk about politics, but we certainly don't have to. And if politics do come up, that we care more about maintaining a relationship with a human in our life than we do about making sure that at the end of that conversation, we've completely persuaded the other person. Because how many of those people are going to successfully persuade you? Chances are none. I remember I kind of went into this other time on the air, and I think it was a caller in my head. His name was Tom. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody I talk to, I'm trying to convince. My idiot brother in California is the biggest liberal ever, and we fight all the time. And it was like the exact opposite of what I was trying to convey.
But they can get along, though.
I don't know. He said that they don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
it was kind of like he was proving my point,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he was cool with it. And it's just, like, are we going to continue down this road? I mean, I've said this many times before. Donald Trump is the response. He's kind of the Frankenstein that was assembled in a really nasty, ugly culture politically that Republicans weren't going to win in. I'm going to be honest. I think he was my last pick. Maybe second to last behind John Kasich, because seriously. Do you remember him in the debates with his hands like Fruit Ninja?
Yeah.
I didn't know what Fruit Ninja was until I saw people talking about Fruit Ninja
they made a meme of him.
Yes,
doing
it is amazing. If you don't know what Fruit Ninja, just go like YouTube. It's probably on YouTube. John Kasich, Fruit Ninja. It's funny. It's my favorite thing about John Kasich. Seriously, it's peak John Kasich for me. I didn't love the Donald Trump thing. I voted for him because I knew that the Donald Trump thing was going to be less threatening to America than Hillary Clinton. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he surprised me so many times with the conservative values and policies that he stood by and defended along the way. At the same time, Trump has made it very difficult to defend him to people who don't understand how you can support somebody who behaves the way Donald Trump behaves from time to time. And to me, Donald Trump is not my religion. He's not my deity. I have a deity. I'm a Christian, and I'm comfortable in that. And Donald Trump, I believe a second term of Donald Trump would have been much better for America than Joe Biden. It's not going to happen. But I do believe that the concerns that Americans have today, because of how this election went down, what was done in the process to make voting casual. I mean, think about what you have to do to get on an airplane. Think about what you have to do to get a concert ticket. I mean, remember concert tickets? Those were fun.
What?
Yeah.
Sports starts in a week and a half.
You would go to a place and somebody play music in the front of you and you'd stand really close next to you. The last concert I went to was Labor Day weekend 2019 and the woman behind me vomited. I can't imagine being in that close quarters in a COVID situation with vomit happening behind you now. Times have changed.
By the way, Annie, Dr. Tobler said your morning sickness should be over by now.
Oh, well, just order that up for me, doctor. My morning sickness is actually worse at night. Like after I get done here, I'm going to go upstairs. It's funny because my husband, when I said we got ice cream because my son got a good grade on his test.
Jared's like, no.
My husband went to the store to get some ice cream and he pulled it out. And my 4-year-old goes, that's the same kind of bucket that mommy barfs in. It's like, Evelyn, I hope that doesn't taint that kind of ice cream for you.
Well, that's what my wife said. My wife always said morning sickness was a big misnomer.
It's a nighttime thing for me. I'm in the morning as well.
It's all day.
It's not good. I knew what I was getting myself into. 163 days. I want to encourage people to think and be passionate about your politics. I want you to be passionate about the things that make you who you are politically, whether you're conservative, libertarian, progressive, Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever you are, be passionate about it.
Be American.
But we got to be kind to one another. We don't have a choice not to at this point. Our kids are watching. And when you consider the little eyes that are watching what is taking place, and you have to explain to them why it's going down the way it's going down, it becomes a little more difficult for me to convey that to small kids in a way that makes sense and doesn't make you feel a bit icky inside. So the vote is still taking place right now on the House floor. This is the joint session that is combined right now, and
it's going quicker now.
Yeah, it looks as though
it's 128 to 82 currently.
128 to 82.
Joe Biden 128, Donald Trump 82. Until we get to, well, wait, Louisiana. Did that mean they not contest Georgia? If they're in Louisiana, they skip Georgia. And they've certified.
Why don't we listen in? Let's listen into what they're saying right now here real quick before we break.
It purports to be returned from the state that has annexed to it a certificate of authority from the state purporting to appoint or ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Maine seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 3 votes for president, and Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 1 vote for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 3 votes for vice president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 1 vote for vice president.
Carl, what time are we out here?
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Maine that the teller has verified?
So this is going to continue on through the evening, and we're grateful that you've spent time here with us at 97.1 FM Talk. If you are not familiar with my voice, thank you for being here. My name is Annie Frey. I host the Annie Frey Show weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. right here on 97.1. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you have chosen to spend your time with 97.1 and encourage you to download that radio.com app. Take us with you wherever you go. 5750 here?
Yes.
Does it sound good?
Perfect.
Okay. You've been listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Carl Minneman hanging in here, being quite the trooper. Stormtrooper, some might even say.
No, I'm a rebel pilot today.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but it sounds real fancy. You've been listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Thank you for being here.
Your energy needs are changing. That's why Ameren Missouri isn't waiting on the future. We're building it with a smart energy plan, advancing thousands of projects across the state. Here in St. Louis, we're adding new clean energy sources and installing new composite poles to better withstand storms. Moving Missouri closer to a future of energy centered around you. That's energy at work. Learn more at amerenmissouri.com/plan.
Menards has the best and brightest ideas for lighting your home. We have thousands of lights to choose from, so you can find the